Diva, this video took forever. So let me bring it back. I started making this video like forever ago. I wrote the script, I did the diva, bam, boom, done. And then I filmed the video, but I didn't like it because of reasons. The reasons are I was mean to Plastique, but also like halfway through the video, I realized that I was wrong and I started liking Plastique. And then I'm like, oh Jesus, I'm an idiot. I've been a hater. So I tried to make like another video to like explain why I was being like a hater and to like be like, oh man, it was too much. And then I made another video basically like trying to comment on the comment of the original thing. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to start from the beginning. So basically, I love Plastique Tiara. She's a drag queen who was on season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and she did well, she had some good looks, but she came back for All Stars 9 and stomped the runway. And she's like the social media queen. She has like almost 12 million followers on TikTok, over 4 million on Instagram, and like over 1 million on YouTube. So like she's very famous, very successful. I wanted to make this video last year. Great, it's topical. It's so topical. Make a video about a TV show a year ago, great. But there was this on the first episode, Plastique Tiara came out in this big, elegant, gold feather look, and then it revealed the wings to reveal a second pair of wings, and then she pulled up her perfume bottle, and it had a fan built into it, and it blew her hair. And the entire bar, I was in the bar watching it, and everybody erupted in applause, like, oh my god, this is so good. And I was laughing. I thought it was crazy. I'm like, this is too much. Anyway, I want to get back to that later. That was like the inception of this video. That's how it started. So this is my credential with drag aesthetics. It's really good. Very good, actually. The best, I would say. I genuinely like that aesthetic. I think it looks good. That's my drag persona. Her name is Norma Wilkinson. I think she's fierce. So if you want to know if I know what I'm talking about with aesthetics, look at Norma. I think I know what I'm talking about. But, okay, I guess like a little background of like aesthetics. I feel like people know what aesthetic means now. It's like a moral underpinning of what constitutes art. That sounded pretentious. Like, this is a goth aesthetic. This is a cottagecore aesthetic. This is a pop art aesthetic. Like, everybody kind of gets it intuitively. We live in like a post-Pinterest, post-Tumblr world. So like, an aesthetic is like the underpinnings for art or an art movement. Like, what colors does it use? What style does it use? But I think it's good to, I guess, like understand the history of aesthetics real quick, because aesthetics is a branch of philosophy that seeks to understand beauty and art. It's like, how do you judge different works of art that have different types of beauty? And what is everyone's individual perception of beauty? Kind of like beauty is in the eye of the beholder sort of thing. That's the basic elements of it. But like, notions of what can be called beautiful, it changed very recently. Like, in the old world, and by old world I mean like, I don't know, ancient Greek. This is going to be very Eurocentric. Unfortunately, a lot of philosophy that I know is Western, and it just kind of follows the trail from Greece to Rome to Germany to England to America. Like, it's very Eurocentric. When it comes to like Eastern philosophy, honestly, the only thing I know is like the Tao. I love the Tao Te Ching, and I know the basics of Buddhism. I honestly, that's a no. I'm gonna write that down. Eastern philosophy. I want to know more about Eastern philosophy. But when I talk about like the history of aesthetics, it's very Eurocentric. It's very white. And in the past, beauty was just good. It used to be like morally good. Old art. It's why like all the old statues were of like perfect people, you know. But like art, the purpose of art was to display God's beauty, essentially. Or like divine beauty, if you in like Greece and Rome. But also in like non-modern era, art was also thought of as like eloquence or gesture or speaking. All of those were considered art forms. And I think nowadays we kind of don't categorize like how you present yourself as an art. And I think that is something we need to take from the old world into the modern day. That is an art form. But I guess in this video, I want to explain like the nature of aesthetics and camp, and then at the end, I kind of want to psychoanalyze myself to realize why I was so I had so much animosity towards her and why it was ultimately unfounded.
First one in, I'm the real OG. I set the bar and made history.
So, around like the 2019 Met Gala, the theme was Notes on Camp. And I'm going to be basically in this part of the video, I'm going to read off Notes on Camp by Susan Sontag. Not every single note, because it's kind of like in like bullet form, but I'm going to read off a lot of them and kind of compare them to Plastique to kind of use her as like a through line to explain the really ambiguous term of camp. In the 2019 Met Gala, Susan Sontag, she was like the document you had to like, you didn't have to, but she was the reference point for the theme Notes on Camp. And like at the time, like every pretentious ass educated gay white man tried to come up with their most erudite definition of camp, but I am a pretentious ass educated white man, so I need to give you my definition. I'm gonna read it. God, if anyone in the comments says camp means it's bad on purpose, or it's so good it's bad,
you're so far out of your league. I want to reply and be like, I'll kill you with a gun.
So this is my definition. Camp, an aesthetic and aesthetic sensibility rooted in queer spaces and the queer experience that values glamour and excess, often with a doing away with of conventional good taste, in essence, queer ostentation. And I guess I can read Susan Sontag because she's smarter than me and whatever. Her definition, note 1 on camp. To start very generally, camp is a certain mode of aestheticism. It is one way of seeing the world as an aesthetic phenomenon. That way, the way of camp, is not in terms of beauty, but in terms of degree of artifice, of stylization. So in camp, the stylization is the beauty. It's creating a sense of beauty rather than revealing an innate sense of beauty. It's why like camp is completely artificial. You can't find camp in nature. A tree is not camp. You have to make the tree camp. And then I guess should I define another thing? Girl, I'm reading so many definitions. Aesthetic sensibility. The ability to recognize and appreciate beauty, particularly in art and design, and to judge the artistic merit of something. It encompasses a personal preference for or responsiveness to what is considered beautiful or pleasurable to the senses. So it's like the ability to recognize beauty, but it's also like on an individual level, what is an individual's aesthetic sensibility means what they find beautiful. Because I think a lot of people ask a question, like, what makes art good? And I think that's the wrong question. I think like that's trying to think about it scientifically, and I don't think art should be put in the same domain as science. Like when it comes to the 2019 Met Gala of like Notes on Camp, people very quickly want to go, well, this is camp, this isn't camp, this is camp, this isn't camp. When like it's not a yes or no type of thing, it's a sliding scale. Like Gaga was most definitely camp. It's like it's one of those things like you have to see it to know it. Like she came out in this 28-foot long train and then had 4 separate outfits, and she ended it with giant big eyes, and she was in a bra and panty referencing the early version of herself, and she was pulling this like little trailer that had a bunch of shit in it, and I think it took like 18 minutes for her to do the whole thing. It was like a whole performance. I don't know, that's camp. Note 2 on camp. To emphasize style is to slight content, or to introduce an attitude which is neutral with respect to content. It goes without saying that the camp sensibility is disengaged, depoliticized, or at least apolitical. Now, people actually have had some criticism over this point, saying that camp is apolitical is kind of removing it from the queer spaces, because to be queer is political. But I think what she's getting at is that, like, to be queer isn't innately political. And to be camp, at least naively be camp, it's not making a political statement. Then it would be more like artistic activism. So I think I agree that camp isn't political. It kind of exists outside the realm of politics. Politics is a form of philosophy that has to do with how people should act together. Camp is under aesthetics, it's different. And when she says to emphasize style is to slight content, or to introduce an attitude which is neutral with respect to content, it basically means style over substance. Camp says that style is more important, or at least equally as important as the substance. The substance. And then you ask, what type of style? Because there's many types of style, and it's the unnatural style. She has a quote, "The more we study art, the less we care for nature." Note 8 on camp. Camp is a vision of the world in terms of style, but a particular kind of style. It is the love of the exaggerated, the off, of things being what they are not. And I think when you hear that, you can, like, it can get easily confused with the bizarre or with the surreal or like the liminal, because those things are like a stylized version of things that are off, and they are so unnatural they can't exist. Like the Rothschild ball or whatever. Those are like these surrealist balls where people, those surrealist balls where people acted all crazy and dressed up all crazy. But that wouldn't necessarily be camp. It's surreal. Camp is the taking of something and then seriously styling it to fit a mold of a specific aesthetic, a queer aesthetic. It takes something and says, how can I strip all meaning away and just make it beautiful? It's like Plastique. Plastique is just beauty for beauty's sake. Unnaturally beautiful. She's just pussy.
Plastique serving Victoria's Secret to this song was so crazy. It was like, shake, 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 Sonora, and she's like, shake it all the time. Like,
No,
it was
the
like
hair flip
horny.
and the dip and the f***ing like death drop twirl split. Wrong song, mama, wrong song.
Like, sometimes she wants to share her culture, yes, but even when she's sharing her culture, she's doing it pussy. Sharing culture isn't really like a meaning or a message. I guess it is a message, but it's not a very deep message. It's just trying to share something, you know, like sharing a culture. But when she does it so pussily. Note 9 on camp. Allied to the camp taste for the androgynous is something that seems quite different, but isn't. A relish for the exaggeration of sexual characteristics and personality mannerisms. Gender plays a really big role in camp, whether it's androgynous or exaggerated masculinity and femininity. What is Plastique most known for? What is she most known for on social media? It's her transitions from man to woman. A man to woman, woman to man, man to woman.
Penis to vagina.
Note 10 on camp. Camp sees everything in quotation marks. Is not a lamp, but a lamp. Not a woman, but a woman. To perceive camp in objects and persons is to understand being as playing a role. It is the farthest extension in sensibility of the metaphor of life as theater. It's like when Plastique dresses like a woman in these videos, it's too pussy. It's too over the top to be considered a woman. Like, people look at it and like they see all the gendered signifiers, but there's so many and they're so exaggerated that you don't believe that to be a natural woman. Even when she's dressed like she's in her little boy drag. It's like she might not be like the He-Man-ness that Susan Sontag like notes. She's not like bodybuilder big. Plastique, when she's a man, looks like an androgynous uber twink. It is so twinkish, so manly. And it's a more like effeminate man, but it's very clearly man. It's just like, it's so twinkish to the point where you're like, is this like a Brandon Rogers character?
My name is Dorian Ditson. I've worked here for about 6 years now. You know, I really do love working here. It's just, we all have a lot of laughs. I'm making copies. Move. I'm gay.
Note 11 on camp. Camp is the triumph of the epicene style, which means like homosexual style. Actually, let me go double check. Epicene, having characteristics of both sexes or no characteristics. Oh, okay. I was wrong. Well, kinda. Like sexless or asexual. It's like super gendered or non-gendered. Got it. Camp is the triumph of the epicene style, the convertibility of man and woman, person and thing. But all style, that is artifice, is ultimately epicene. Life is not stylish, neither is nature. The convertibility of man and woman. That's literally... Okay, all drag is inherently camp, right? Drag is a camp... Drag is a camp that lock me up. But like, drag is inherently camp to a degree, but Plastique is pushing it to the limit, diva. But then it also goes, life is not stylish, neither is nature. I think that gays hate the natural to a degree. I don't know, because society views gay as like non-natural, we've kind of rebelled against like what are considered natural norms, even though you argue those don't exist. So gay people kind of flock to the celebration of non-natural forms of expression. The lens of camp, which blocks content out. It says, we don't need to have a deeper meaning. Block out the content. Does Plastique Tiara have a deep meaning? What's her deep meaning? Pussy. She's pussy. There's not much deeper than that, Gorge. Sometimes her meaning is like, I want to share my culture, which is great, but even when she does that, there's an overwhelming sense of pussy. Camp sensibility is one that is alive to a double sense. The thing as meaning something and the thing as pure artifice. So there's like the thing that means something is woman, and then woman in quotes as pure artifice. So like you look at it and the thing, sorry, I don't want to, it feels like I'm objectifying women. I'm not trying to objectify women. The thing means woman, right? But then plastique is the artifice of woman. She's the extreme stylization of woman. And then like through the flamboyant mannerisms susceptible to a double interpretation with a witty meaning for insiders and another more impersonal for outsiders. So for drag, it panders to queer people and non-queer people. So like Plastique, how does it pander to non-queer people? Look at the comments. All the comments are like, oh my god, her makeup is better than mine and she's not even a woman. It's like, oh my god, she could do both. She's a man and a woman? That's crazy. It's like, that's the most basic building block of drag. But like, that's her pandering to the straight people. And that's kind of impersonal. And then like the witty meaning to the insiders, to the queer people, it's like, you see it. Oh, I'm pussy. You see how pussy I am. You can't really get like, oh, you see how pussy I am to the straight people because they're just hung up on the fact you're doing the transformation. I think we as queer people, we get to choose our families. And like when we see Plastique, we're not like shocked, I guess, by the fact that she can turn from a man to a woman. We're just shocked at how pussy she is. The transformation is kind of like, you know, it's nice, it's good, it's impressive, but we just get hung up on the beauty. Notes 18 through 19. One must distinguish between naive and deliberate camp. Pure camp is always naive. Camp which knows itself to be camping, is usually less satisfying. The pure examples of camp are unintentional. They are dead serious. So, okay, that's the thing, right? People with a camp sensibility, they aren't choosing to do this consciously. They're choosing to do the actions, but they're not choosing to find this beautiful. It's why like everyone's aesthetic sensibility is different because they don't get to choose what's beautiful to them. It's intrinsic. And obviously, like, there's sociological reasons, there's personality reasons, like, there's all these reasons that create your aesthetic sensibility, but you don't choose it. So you can be somebody following a camp aesthetic without knowing it. That would be naive camp. And I would say that Plastique, at least to me, I don't think she conceptualizes herself as camp. I don't think queer people in general conceptualize her as camp. I think because it's such a weird concept, it's so hard to understand. But I think when people hear camp, we think of like old style of camp. We think of like Bianca Del Rio, Nina West, those old-timey sort of panto dame sort of campiness. Or like a Trixie Mattel who's like obviously playing into it. I think we're only able to identify that as camp because it's old camp. I think that Plastique Tiara is emblematic of an upcoming sort of camp. And she's also dead serious. She is dead set on being glamorous. And seriousness is a hallmark of camp. Plastique is a hard worker for the sake of being pussy.
What I love about Plastique is she's the most self-efficient queen. All of her social media she does on her own. She films the videos, she edits them on her own. She basically created this empire for herself.
Look at her Instagram reels. Okay, so I'm gonna narrate over this because the audio is going to, I uploaded it earlier and it didn't let me do it because it was like copywritten, but you have to imagine like lachrymose, old-timey singing that's like all crazy. Like, look at this. Look at her. It is insane. This is like over the top. It is kind of hilarious how much time she's spending on this. Oh my god, like who spends this much time, this much money, this much effort on an Instagram reel? Note 23 on camp. In naive or pure camp, the essential element is seriousness, a seriousness that fails. Of course, not all seriousness that fails can be redeemed as camp. Only that which has the proper mixture of the exaggerated, the fantastic, the passionate, and the naive. I think to like modern straight sensibilities, spending that much time on like creating the most perfectly curated aesthetic Instagram, it's laughable, it's funny, but I think that's what makes it naive. It's unaware of how ridiculous it is. I don't think Plastique conceptualizes herself as a camp queen. I think she takes herself very seriously, which you should if you're an artist, but she doesn't realize how ridiculous it is to spend this much time on frivolous things. And I think because we are queer people, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably queer. If not, hey, welcome. But I think it's it's harder for queer people to recognize camp because it is a queer sensibility. So we kind of view it as like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. It's like how F. Scott Fitzgerald, who wrote The Great Gatsby, it's like a big critique on like American culture and consumerism and all that from the 20s. He couldn't write it until he left America. He left it and moved to France, and being outside of it gave him more insight. I think that's why it's hard for us queer people to see camp, especially to see it changing. Note 30 on camp. Of course, the canon of camp can change. Note 34 on camp. Camp taste turns its back on the good-bad access of ordinary aesthetic judgment. Camp doesn't reverse things. It doesn't argue that the good is bad or the bad is good. What it does is to offer for art and life a supplementary set of standards. Earlier in the video, when I brought up old interpretations of beauty, beauty was thought of as like a moral good. It was something you should strive for. I think nowadays, like, people still want to be beautiful, but we kind of have the common sense that it's like, it's not everything. We know that. But I think camp sensibilities, Plastique too, because she's camp, it sets beauty and being pussy, in her instance, but beauty as the moral standard of the art, which I think is different than how people view art now. I think, like, when we're raised, like, in school, we're, like, reading books and stuff, and we're trying to, like, interpret the art. We're like, well, why would we read this? Why do we have to care about reading this book? And then it's like, well, if you read the book, then it has deeper meanings and you can reveal it. And that's kind of like what is considered like good art. And camp kind of throws a wrench in there and is like, no, I'm asserting myself as good, as worthy, and there's no meaning. It's just beauty. It's just stylization. It's just exaggeration. It's just effervescence, flamboyance. You know. Like in the movie Female Trouble, John Waters, he's like he's a filmmaker. He did a lot of stuff with Divine. He made Hairspray, the original one. But in Female Trouble, the movie, the characters, they believe that crime is beauty.
Now everybody breathe. Who wants to be famous? Who wants to die for art? I do!
So it's not reversing things, right? To reverse things, it would say that like something that is considered beautiful is considered ugly. That would be reversing things. But Female Trouble doesn't reverse things. Like, crime isn't thought of as beautiful or non-beautiful. It just kind of is. It's thought of as bad, but it's not thought of as ugly. Certain crimes could be thought of as ugly, but crime in itself isn't thought of as ugly. But what Female Trouble does is it asserts that crime is beauty. It's creating a new aesthetic sensibility that isn't reversing thing, it's just giving an alternative. And then later there's this funny scene where I talk about like how being gay is good. It's like preferable.
Oh, honey, I'd be so happy if you turned Nellie.
No way, I'm straight. I mean, I like a lot of queers, but I don't think they're equipment, you know? I like women.
But you could change. Queers are just better. I worry that you work in an office, have children, celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexual is a sick and boring life.
And I think a lot of times people think that like conventional culture thinks straight is good, gay is bad, but it's not really the opposite. They view straight as normal and they view gay as deviant. Note 38 on camp. Camp is the consistently aesthetic experience of the world. It incarnates a victory of style over content, aesthetics over morality, of irony over tragedy. Camp and tragedy are antitheses. Style is everything.
O-P-U-L-E-N-C-E. Opulence. You own everything.
The whole point of camp is to dethrone the serious. Camp is playful, anti-serious. More precisely, camp involves a new, more complex relation to the serious. One can be serious about the frivolous about the serious. She is so glamorous that it dethrones the seemingly a frivolous and stupid idea that style is more important over content. I adore simple pleasures. They are the last refuge to the complex. It's like Plastique's reality hacking Instagram reel. I showed the one earlier, but she has a lot of these reality hacking is what she calls them. And it's like, it's a simple pleasure to escape the world. My favorite is this Tokyo Ghoul one. Do you know like the song Unravel from Tokyo Ghoul? It's like the theme song from the anime. The simple pleasure is just to look at something that looks flashy and cool. Oh, okay, and on that video from Tokyo Ghoul, she has a comment explaining her motivation behind it. This episode was particularly meaningful to me. I faced a challenge I once feared and showcased my passion for anime. I've always adored anime for its imaginative storytelling by Asian artists. The characters often begin as underdogs, overcoming their fears to achieve greatness. Today, I am so grateful to be able to bring that character to life. It's like, I'm sure that feels very serious and very important to her, but the amount of effort being put forward and the seriousness in which she's treating her love of anime is camp. That's so funny. It's like when Kimora Black was like, I was overcoming my adversity by not wearing body.
I think we all need to take a moment to talk about the bravest struggle of all, coming out here and telling us about her struggle.
A struggle.
With not wearing hip pads.
Not wearing hip pads, my God. Can you be alive and still be made a saint?
No, but I think we can make arrangements.
It's like, Mama, you just wanted to be pussy, and now you're giving like a backstory to make it sound relatable. I don't know. That's how I really, or maybe it's very serious to her, and there's no irony involved, and she's really like, yes, my love of anime deserves this. Note 55 on camp. Camp taste is, above all, a mode of enjoyment, of appreciation, not judgment. Camp is generous. It wants to enjoy. It's not necessarily it's not criticizing culture. It's finding things to celebrate. I think like in contrast, like Gottmik on All Stars 9. She was really famous for having this top surgery look, which is gorgeous, glamorous, chic, love it. I love it. One of my favorite looks ever. But it's making a statement on gender norms, you know. It's like intentionally trying to criticize something as well as celebrating, but it's genuinely trying to make this like political sort of statement, right? And then look at what Plastique wore. Plastique, the thing was tail and two titties, right? So Gottmik had a ponytail and then her two titties were in the bag. Plastique came out in this kitsune look with 9 tails that were mechanically moving, the biggest breasts she's ever worn, the craziest hair, the makeup, like, what? She's not criticizing. She's just celebrating pleasures. And even when she's like sharing her culture, that's not her criticizing the fact that her culture isn't given a space. What she's doing is just saying, I like my culture. I like this. I'm celebrating this spirit. And then she bounced her titties. I think as time has gone on, Gottmik's look has been like remembered more and it caused more of an outrage. But I remember seeing it in the club. I remember seeing like Gottmik come around the corner and I was like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I thought it was so cool. And also like the club erupted. I thought it was so slay, so cool. But when Plastique came out, she got more applause. And honestly, I think that is a triumph of style over substance. That's camp. That's camp. Plastique's big booby 9-tail look getting a bigger applause than Gottmik's chic top surgery criticism. That's camp. So I guess to recap, camp is an exaggerated, flamboyant style that is laughing in the face of content or substance. It has to do with transformation and gender play. It's very serious, and it values stylization, which it views as beautiful above all else. I think that's the end of part 1. Now I need to talk about why I used to hate her, and I should not have hated her. Part 2. Tiara, this doll did not come to play. So I think there's a difference between having some like valid opinions on why my aesthetic sensibilities differ from hers and being a hating ass bitch. In my original video, halfway through, I realized I was being a hating ass bitch.
It like mimicked the opinions of like hating ass bitches.
I think part of it is I wanted to kind of like rush to a defense of Gottmik because I love Gottmik so much. And I really wanted her to win that season. I wanted her to win the first season, but like she didn't. So I think part of me felt like defensive over my fave.
I like Drag Race so much, Trixie, that I get really upset when my fave doesn't pull through at the last moment.
And then I think another reason was I didn't view her as having a like unique aesthetic, and in my brain, a look queen had to have a unique aesthetic. And the aesthetic needed to push the art form of drag, or at least the artwork on Drag Race, forward. Like Raja had like high fashion, but also more bohemian and flowy. Violet had her like nipped in Dita Von Teese corset BDSM burlesque vibe. Aquaria brought her like club kid to the runway. Sasha Velour had, I don't know how to describe Sasha Velour's look, but she has that. And I felt like a look queen, to be known for your looks, that's the most important thing about like your artistry. I guess in my brain, I had the presupposition that it had to be very unique to you, and you had to have your own aesthetic that you were bringing. Even someone like Trixie, like she's not really a look queen, but like a look is a really big part of her brand. You got the look, and she had her own unique look to it. And I guess that Plastique didn't. Well, a lot of her looks had like an Asian influence, whether it was displaying her Vietnamese culture or it was like referencing her love of Japanese anime. But it really was just conventional glamour, just pushed to its extreme, and it didn't seem very specific to her. And I didn't like that, like, it feels like on modern Drag Race, a lot of the looks are just kind of looking the same. They just look very expensive, and they don't really tell us who that queen is in particular. I don't know, all the looks kind of blend together, and I'm like, well, I don't know who you are as an artist based on your runways. And I think I unfairly lumped Plastique Tiara in that, and I thought she didn't have any substance to her looks. They weren't trying to make a political statement. They were just beauty. They were just glamour. They were just stylization. They were just opulence.
Opulence. You own everything. Opulence. You earn everything. Opulence. You own. Opulence.
But also, through making this video, I don't think beauty needs a reason to exist. I don't think beauty needs to justify itself. I think art doesn't need to justify itself. Art for art's sake is valid. I don't know, I just kind of like, I dislike that as Drag Race has gone on, it feels like people don't view the runways as a place where someone can make a genuine artistic statement. It just becomes like a glamour contest. And I kind of brought that up in my Did RuPaul's Drag Race Kill Drag video. But like the stylization and the performance of how you look and how you hold yourself, it is a valid form of art. It's a manifestation of your internal world and how you view yourself and being able to embody it and live it. It's like how on a lot of the earlier seasons they're like, well, she's just a look queen. She just looks pretty. She can't do anything else. People say that against a lot of queens. I hate that. I don't believe that. I dislike it when people undervalue aesthetics. I said that in my You're Jealous of Violet Chachki video. But I fell into the same trap that I was describing in that video when I'm just jealous of Plastique. I'm envious of her success. I'm envious that people view her as beautiful. I was projecting my insecurities onto her. And I think part of that is because my aesthetic sensibility isn't very glamorous. It's not very polished. I like things that look very rough around the edges. And I guess I'm always insecure that people aren't going to take it seriously and aren't going to value it, because it doesn't appeal to conventional aesthetic sensibilities. So I think in recognizing her, she just kind of became emblematic of my own insecurities. But again, like I said, that's the opinion of hating ass bitches. And honestly, I am so inspired by the dedication she has to aesthetics. I am so inspired by her work ethic. I am so inspired by her ability to take a version of herself that she sees and then manifest it and actualize it to its fullest extent. That's inspiring. I think I was just too pretentious and too insecure to appreciate successful, naive camp. I don't think I understood camp, and I don't think I respected camp. I don't know. I think I'll still find the over-the-top comical. And I'm sorry. I'm going to laugh at those transitions every single time. Every single time. When she gets a like silicone flesh made corset so that she can have her midriff out or whatever, I'm gonna laugh. I think that's hilarious. It's so over the top. But also, I think laughing at how ridiculous it is should be an additional layer of enjoyment rather than a source of hate. I don't know. I don't like that I had so much hate and so much malice in my heart. I think hate is useful. Hate gets a bad rap, but I think hate should only be given out when it's earned. Hate should be defensive against people who should be hated. I think moral of the story, camp is fierce. Everybody's different. Be who you are. The last one, if you have hate, if you have animosity in your heart to non-bigoted people, if it's a bigot, you should hate them. If they're evil, truly evil, malicious people, you should hate them. But if you have hate in your heart towards somebody, it's probably a reflection of some internal issues that you're having. And instead of vocalizing your hate, maybe turn inward. Yeah. Okay. Please send money to my Venmo. I need to make rent. That's my video. Bye.